On that topic, we want to take some time to get to know one of our newer members, which is Vantage, and hear from their co-founder and CTO, Brooke, who was at our governing board meeting in DC a couple weeks ago, and Rem, who's in product there. Brooke and Rem, over to you.
Thanks, JR. Really appreciate it. Really here to talk about a very hot topic, agents, and how you can apply that specifically, as JR was mentioning a little bit earlier, of how you can be more proactive in your FinOps practice by utilizing agents. So if we go to the next slide, here at Vantage, we are a FinOps platform for modern engineering teams. We help people monitor their cloud costs such as AWS, Azure, GCP, along with a lot of other infrastructure services, including 20 other native integrations, as well as some forays into monitoring on-prem. And we provide a lot of observability into your cloud costs through various tools. Previously, that's been things like Kubernetes agents, Terraform providers, RESTful APIs. More recently, that's been introing ourselves into things like the MCP protocol, and as we'll talk about a little bit here, AI agents. If we go to the next slide, for how we've actually thought about incorporating AI into our products, we've really brought it up from three different aspects. That's making FinOps accessible to multiple personas, offloading ad hoc and manual processes, and then enabling capabilities that were previously not possible. And it actually very much aligns with a lot of the foundations of the FinOps Foundation, the people, process, and technology, to actually help us align with that.
Yeah, thanks, Rem. So I'm going to walk through some of the different acronyms and just give some definitions behind them, since we're going to throw them around a bunch, and just define what an MCP is, what an agent is, but also how that ties to the FinOps practice directly. We're not doing AI just for the sake of AI. And so if you go to the next slide, I'm sure everyone is very familiar with this feedback loop in your FinOps practice. This one specifically is focused on if you have something like a financial commitment to purchase, or a Microsoft Fabric reservation to purchase, for instance, or maybe there's unused storage that you want to be deleted. And so your FinOps platform or your internal tooling is surfacing that information. Maybe that's through automated anomalies or manually created reports. But then you have to then dig in, do some more data filtering, aggregation, see where the actual problem is coming from. And then as the FinOps analyst, you're usually creating tickets or assigning work outside of your group to the engineering team who is actually responsible. And that can even take some effort to say who owns this system, which is the right team to assign this to. And then they investigate, and then they implement and push the change. This feedback loop can be hours, days, months, or even years if you're talking about a large re-architecture. And so when we were asked for a presentation topic on optimizing for value, this feedback loop came to mind for me, because the tighter you can make this loop and the faster you can react and get all the way to the implement and push change, the more value you're going to drive. And so everyone's top poll response was how you can save money, and how you can usually save money is just by acting on things as quickly as possible. So if you go to the next slide, I'll get back into the definition. So MCP, this started to become hot about a year ago, and it is we released our own, and it is proving to be very, very valuable for our customers. And so what an MCP is, it's a way to sit in between a data set, and that data set is usually available via an API in what I've seen like 99% of cases when working with MCPs. And then an LLM. And an LLM, if you're not familiar, is when you're using ChatGPT or Claude. It's the model that backs those chat-based interfaces. And what those providers have enabled is those LLMs can now integrate with MCPs. And so in our graphic here, we have GitHub, for example. And so you can interact with the GitHub MCP and open a GitHub issue, or assign an issue, or just query for code in a code base, or list your repositories. Another example would be the Notion MCP, where you could grab all of the information that lives in those documents inside Notion, or even create them on the fly. And the Vantage MCP in the middle there, that's where you could query your cost data, your budgets, your forecasts, your performance against those budgets. And the LLM is able to query multiple at once, and then combine all that context into a single chat interface. So if you go to the next slide, we lost the slide, but that's okay. Oh no, sorry, they're just rearranged a little bit. That's okay. And so what this enables is something like this, where You will all the way on the left there are interacting with the LLMs. And again, those are like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini from Google. You then have access to all of this information that's stored in the tools that you already have access to, but you're just giving that access to the LLM. And so, like I said, in Vantage, it's being able to query your cost information, your FinOps data sets, anything going on the platform. We've also seen a lot of benefit from hooking our entire documentation suite into that as well. And so we can also guide folks to best practices, um, how to create Terraform snippets to control things in Vantage, or even just how to use the platform in general. And then you can plug it into Google Drive, GitHub, Jira, AWS, etc. You can go to the next slide. And so what is an agent? An agent builds upon this concept and takes that core concept that is the LLM, and then starts to act autonomously based on interacting with decisions that the LLM is making. And so an example would be you could have a chat interface with ChatGPT and say, hey, can you list my top 10 EC2 instances that need to be right-sized this month and open Jira tickets for those corresponding teams. And so the LLM would automatically decide, I'm going to query Vantage for the right sizing recommendations. I'm then going to query GitHub or Backstage for who owns those resources. And then I'm going to automatically open the Jira tickets and the corresponding projects to those resources. So that's an example where the agent made a multi-step tree of decisions to say, I'm going to get the data first from Vantage. I'm going to see who owns that. And then I'm going to open the Jira tickets. You can go to the next slide. So what does this look like in a full context when you think you have all of the relevant tools, all of the tools that are relevant to FinOps, right? You have metrics in Datadog, you have information stored in Google Drive, you have tickets in Linear and Jira. You can pull information directly from the cloud providers as well. AWS is working on an MCP, and that's proving very promising. And so if you imagine a FinOps agent sitting in the middle of that loop, able to tighten that feedback loop by making what were previously all of those manual decisions or manual data lookups to understand where things should be routed or what should happen next. That's what we're envisioning here with this agentic FinOps workflow. And Rem is going to walk you through some more concrete examples. Oh, no, I'm actually, if you go to the next slide, sorry. So when you have it, whether you're building your own FinOps tooling or you're using a provider, there is what we call the Maslow's hierarchy of needs for AI and FinOps. And it starts with the normalized and allocated data, which I'm sure everyone on the call is familiar with. But then you have the layers above that are required in order to then unlock that agentic workflow. And so if you go to the next slide, I won't spend too much time here, but everyone's familiar with the normalized and allocated data, right? You need the data in a standardized format. You need it to be able to be queried in that format. You want it to be allocated and tagged appropriately so it fits your chargeback and showback models so that the data can be associated with a team or a product. If you go to the next slide. Then you need access to that information programmatically. And this is a big one. Oh,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
some-
Take another minute
sorry.
to finish off. No worries.
The Zoom was yelling at me. Something we've invested a lot in at Vantage is just programmatic access to these API, that data. So being able to access it via an API and also create resources via the API. If you go to the next slide. And then again, you layer the MCP on top of that. So the MCP is sitting in between those APIs and your LLM interfaces. You can go ahead. And then Reb is going to walk through some real world examples here.
And Rem, we do
Yeah.
need to wrap up. So if you could do a quick takeaways on this, that'd be great.
No worries. We can flip two ahead. I'll just quickly talk on the problems that we were looking to solve when actually implementing agentic workflows here. First is actually taking the actions and getting that routed in an autonomous way. Second is actually getting these recommendations routed properly. And then last is automating workflows. Again, things that Brooke was mentioning about automating things that are continuously coming up for FinOps practitioners. On the next slide here, we have worked on our agent. This is something that is going to be kind of hitting on all those three things. As Brooke mentioned, this is going to be actually taking different decision trees, attempting to optimize, and it's something that we've had a couple of our users using, is going to be generally available next week. Just to save time, I think we can go forward 2 slides just to recap, even if you're not using AI today, think about the data that can be some of your foundation here. And then when actually implementing, think about replicating your existing workflows and where can you actually incorporate that. And then lastly, it's not just about saving money, as people know, it's about also people and process that can help you save as well.